Today is October 24th, 2023, and Jim is our first interviewee in the third set of Nipigon Narrations for the museum. And Jim wants to talk about his boyhood games in Nipigon. So, Jim, you're on.
Well, I grew up in the Aho subdivision. My dad's was the first house down there, I think built in 48. And we had no neighbors except for Bobby and Roy across the street from us. And then we got all the houses started building in. My dad cut the lumber for all the houses come in there. Claude Paul, Zubas, and on Scavages. And some of that wood is still in some of the houses these days. So the name was Rosentrotter, that's right too. That was across the street from us. And Doreen was a Gonyu, related to Irene Gonyu and Barbara Ryla. And so that was our first two people played. And then as the neighborhood built up, we got more friends. And all the Italian immigrants moved in. There was the Chicos moved in, and all the big Stocco family, and just everything else moved in. A lot of the houses from Pine Portage went down there and moved in that area, and they're still there today, some of them. And they're only good for one season, but they use them for people living in there. Some of the games we played there back in the early days was hide and seek, of course. And the big game, I'm going to mix them all up here, is marbles. And I asked some of my neighbors I phoned this morning, and a lot of the kids grew up playing marbles, playing kiss off the wall or pot, and some are really good marble players. So we had lots of fun playing marbles when we were young, especially in the springtime. And that was some of the games. And we did play in the whole area. Us were all over the place. We were down at the marina, at the pump house, playing on the Dampier skiffs and boats down in Dampier Cove at that time. And the pump was still running for that to ship the water up to the water tank for the steam engines going by. And we used to play in the coal chute, climb up and down the coal chute, and slingshots and shooting at pigeons up there in those days.
Let's go back again, Jim, though. That water tank is the one by the CN, right?
CN water tank, yeah.
Yeah, the CN water.
And the water line is still there. I painted it orange, and I put it in the paper, and it's still there. And when the guys are going through in construction, they saw the yellow line going through, and they shut the whole thing down, drilling, because they thought it was a gas line. But it wasn't. It was full of holes, so it's still there. My uncle didn't dig it up when he dug the trench to move the creek. But we played down in the creek, too, all of us. We built cabins down there in those days, and bridges, and with the big swing tree down there. There was a big tree that you could... like a big rope went on and way around, and it went way out and around and landed. And we did that lots of time. We played down there, played in all sorts of hide and wide games down there. And another thing too was hockey. We played lots of hockey in the backyard. We had a big flat area in our garden. My dad helped level it out, and I went and looked at it the other day. It's still long and flat, the whole backyard. And we had hockey and ice and played in the moonlight. My dad even put a light out in the clothesline so we could have light. This continued all into the 60s, early till TV and high school, and that was it for the rink, I think. But people from all over come and play there. I used to hate when they phone and say, "Hey, is that rink shoveled off yet?" And sometimes there was 3 feet of snow on top of it, and no blowers in those days. I had to shovel it all off. And
So, Jim, in those days, there was lots of water to flood a big rink.
Well, we had water. We had water hose in that time. Okay. Yeah, we had when we first started out, we had a point, and we had actually, my mother come from Ireland, and she had to go across the snow to get the water from the pump down where Eastman lived. There was a pump down there. My mother had to go down and get a sleeve full of water. Then we got the pump with a point on it, and then the sewer and water came in, and they were okay then. So we had lots of water and we flood that rink. And we had lots of neighbors, lots of children. I got to tell a bad story now, come from that time, because a guy reminded me of it. I used to take snow and make snowballs out of them, and then I would put them in the freezer till July. And all of a sudden, there I'm out in the street throwing snowballs in the middle of July, and throw them up in the air and then smash on on the pavement. But you couldn't throw on people because they were ice. They were frozen too hard. But there's ice. There's snow out in the middle of July. So, another person, we went sliding on the hill beside there. All this we had lots to do in those days. We didn't have all these things you put your thumbs on.
So, Jim, where was the hill to slide?
Right behind my place in McCullough's yard. But I think it was became Buster Gagne's after. They were the last ones, I remember.
Oh, up on Front Street there.
No, we were on. We
yeah.
lived on Newton Street.
Right.
And it was a big. When they dug the basement out for McCullough's, they put a nice big level so we could slide right down, make it right almost to the CNR tracks, and we would slide, and it'd be full of children, and that's what we did in those days, and then when it was too cold or inside, we played Monopoly. That went on and on, Monopoly. Anybody play Monopoly anymore?
Yeah.
And we also have the hockey game, the big game. I still got the board, and it has all the hockey players. And we use it. We had leagues going and that. And then my parents had their LCBO parties, and all the liquor board people have down there having a party. And they'd be playing on the kitchen table there, the dining room table. They'd be playing hockey, the adults. So it was quite entertaining with that in those days. Now I'm just jumping around again. I want to mention a guy named Jerry Morriso. I heard him mentioned once, and he lived down in the mud flats, and I got a picture of his green shack, the green tar paper on it, and he lived down there, and he used to be a trapper, and I can remember him when I was very small carrying a pack, 400 pounds he could carry on his back, 400 pounds of whatever he come in the trap line on, and I can still walking over. So we used to go get groceries for him, helping here and there. And he'd tell us stories, and he made bows and arrows for us. Bows out of hockey sticks. We'd bring him hockey sticks, and they were big, full-size hockey stick arrows. We used to buy arrows from the store, and his were safety arrows. But they wouldn't hurt anybody, the big ones. But we didn't like, we had our own. And I still owe Wilbur Allen the window, because I shot a little too high and hit the window. So I still owe Wilbur Allen a window. Now, I got to tell another story. You don't want to forget another guy. Never mentioned, of course. A lot of people are not mentioned. But I want to remember Leo Millinemi. There was a character. Anybody watching this, say a prayer for Leo. We had lots of fun together. And we went there after high school days or something. We were kind of growing up in those days. And just went to visit Jerry, who had a good talk. And then we went down and heading back down the creek. And Leo found a pair of gotch. So we pulled him up over his gotch. And then, don't laugh now, then he found this old a can or whatever, pail, and he was beating on it. Jerry, I got a message for you. And we're all looking, all this guy looking. Jerry, I got a message for you. And all of a sudden, the door opened, and a gun comes out. Yeah, I got a message for you too, he said. Boy, did we ever run. But we helped Jerry lots, and lots of people went down there. If he had too much groceries, he usually got taxi. The taxi would drive right up to his building. And and then some of the good games we played on the street. Like I said, there were lots of children down there in those days. And we played, I'm going to call them wide games. Like kick the can. Anybody play kick the can anymore? I don't know. And it's like a tag game. And if you'd catch somebody and you'd tuck the head, they were caught. But if someone kicked the can while you were away, then they were free. So another good game was candy can on the street. Lots of people played candy can. And it's like cricket, with 3 cans, and the stick went in the ground a bit. And if you hit the ball and then running, you get runs back and forth. And if the guy got the ball and knocked the cans down with the ball, then their turn then. And
it was a street form.
Right on Radisson Street.
Cricket.
Yeah, we played there, and it was all sort. But we went up for the big games up behind Zechner's store, and there was the older guys there, John Zechner, Roy Manella, Gibson, I don't know, the Winfields. There was the big older ones there, so we, I'm drying out talking here. Anyways, we go out and watch that, and I was watching, and they played up behind Zechner's store in the old lane the way he was there, and that was really lots of fun. Another game we played, EV-IV over, throw it over the house, and then you catch the ball, and you run around and nail somebody that's in your team. We played that at my house lots, and we played that at the United Church at that time. Gavrils lived there. And anyways,
Did you ever play, though, Jim, where you threw the ball against the wall and caught it and throw it?
I don't know.
can remember at school, when I first came here, that's what the kids did. They played ball and catch, jump over it, and... Oh, okay.
I don't
Maybe
know.
you had no walls down there.
We didn't play that. I don't think so.
Okay.
Anyways, they EVIV over, and we played at the church. Was really good around that United Church. And when the siren went, any night we're out, we're home. 9:30, everybody went home. And that was the night that Dr. Sumley got the acid in his face. We went home at 9:30, and maybe a half an hour or a little later, he come out of the meeting, got in the station wagon right there where we were playing. And so the person probably got in after we left the area. And one of my favorite games, everybody, was called Gene Tootie or Pole to Pole. I don't know why they call it Gene Tootie for, but Pole to Pole. And that was great. And you had about 15 on each pole across the street. You played right across the street. It was a wide game. And you had a prison way over here. And whoever's newer, first one to go out, and newer person chased them, newer person chased them. You got caught and went to the prison. And it's just children, people running everywhere across Newton Street, which is busy at that time. And
No baseball, Jim?
oh, I haven't finished this one yet.
Oh, okay.
So where was I now? Oh yeah.
Wide game, yeah.
So we that's what we played. That's the games we played in those days. And if you got the tag the one in the end, he was free. But if you tagged the guy in the rock, then the whole works was free and you're running. And it was all a newer game, but just a bit of running around. Everybody had lots of fun in those days. It was a social game in those days. And hockey, oh yeah, we played hockey on our rink behind our house. And not much in the street, but we had skates. And we played there sometimes all night and the moonlight. And young people from all over played there. And so I'm getting a bad cold now. I'm talking. I should have brought some water with me. But I think that's about all the stories I have to tell now.
So, Jim, was there a wide, flat area available, like a field where the plywood mill was?
That was before my time. When we played down there was no,
It was bush.
no, it was all bush. That was a field. Pardon me. We played there, and over in the field, in the bush behind the field, was Roy Manella's camp. He had a little. He was older than us, and he had a little cabin back in there.
Okay.
Yes, and we dragged wood from there to make cabins all over the place. We hauled wood from the plow mill down to the creek to make cabins. And that's about it. I think I'm running out of wind here.
That's okay. Okay, Jim's going to do another session, and this time he wants to talk about the Boy Scouts. And we've had other people come, but it depends on what years you were in the Boy Scouts. So whatever we get from different people will give us a really good background information on the Scouts. So, Jim, go ahead there with what you want.
Thank you very much, and you're doing a wonderful job, Glenn. I'm going to say the ones I watched. Anyways, the first time I went to Scouts was Ty Pasola from Cameron Falls. He was the Boy Scout leader. And Dale Anderchuk was troop leader. And when we went up from Cubs, we wanted to, everybody wanted to be in Egan Hansen's group, which became Egan Nielsen. That's his real name now. But some of the names in there, Egan Nielsen, Jock Dampier, got the cabin across the river. He was my first troop leader, or scout leader. And Norm Lipinski, another patrol leader. And there was lots of Barry, Murray Gordon, Rick Costello, Ed Hawthorne, Bo Sodergren. They were in the Sea Scouts. On November 11th, we walked down from the Legion, bare arms. And November 11th, they walked from the Legion. We were so proud of that, we froze our arms. Going down, stand for half an hour more in front of the cenotaph.
Okay, now locate the cenotaph for people who don't know.
That was down in front of the Hudson Bay Company that time. And there was a big stone cenotaph. It had a sword on there, gold sword. And that's where we went. And Hartley, chief, he was our RCMP corporal, Hector Hartley. And he was there. And that was some of the Scouts. We went to, we had the Stetsons on in those days and the staff and everything. We were just proud to And marching that. And our meetings were all upstairs at the Legion Hall. There was no big hall in those days, just upstairs. That's where all the Legion parties were. Upstairs. Bad cough here. Anyways, we marched up there, and then for November 11th, we had practice up at the public school, on the wooden floor at the public school, the auditorium. And we marched and stomped and made good practice up there.
So
And then,
Jim, about how many do you think there was in there? Did you have 20 guys or?
well, there was about 4 patrols, so 4 8s or
Oh,
so 4 6s there, 20, 24 people.
okay.
And I threw a bunch of names out there. Dwight Carmody's passed now.
Right.
But lots of people were there. I want to throw another name out is George Dean. He was a patrol leader also at that time. And Eddie Hedican was there, and he got all the Eagle Scouts. He had all the badges. I never saw a person with so many badges. He always kept getting badges. I never got too many in those days. But we had fun, and we were sold Boy Scout apples in front of all over the place. But I made big bucks selling them in front of the liquor store. And they wouldn't even take the apple, just put the money in. So this went on for a couple of years until I was kind of shoved aside by other bigger scouts. That was the best place to get the money for Boy Scout apples. And then they went to the Jamboree. Dale and a few of them went to the Jamboree in 55 at Niagara Falls. And but we had a good, and we went out camping and stuff. My favorite camping trip was out to the Rojo's farm. Yes, there will be picked up 2 pails of golf balls. People are already golfing around. They're batting a ball around. I don't know why. There's no place to go. And the Boy Scout, we spent the weekend out there. And when you go to the golf course, the big deck, when you go in, that big ball rock, that's where we were camped along that. Spread out all us Boy Scouts for the weekend. And so when we rode out, the barn was still there. And the thing you put the manure in, and we put it out. And we used to go out now for a ride and come back, big ride, till they fell over and we all fell out. And I think Liam Sorensen hurt his finger or something. So
Did you have a tent of your own, like?
no, we just slept out on the sleeping bags out there.
Oh.
Just out in the open. Same when we camped on Pancake Island. We just slept out in the open. If it rained, we got wet. That's all. And yeah, so we had the weekend there and played around there. And the Pink Mountain, it's a nice place to go. It's a good place to hike to today. I brought lots of people up there. Go to the top when you park at the parking lot, and you go up towards the 4 towers on top of that ridge. That's the Pink Mountain. And I said to the guys, tomorrow we're going to the top of that mountain. Didn't tell nobody. 6 o'clock in the morning, we left 3 of us, Hans Nietzschman and Leif Sorensen and me, and took off and headed up the mountain. Well, that we got wet and rough, and it's not just like this, it's like this. There's lots of ridges in between. But we made it to the top, and we were back by noon. Didn't take us that long. Everybody had left, so those guys stayed, and I grabbed my pack, and I'm heading to town. And a guy named Ted Swift picked me up. He was the M&R guy at Nipigon that time. Lived up on top of the hill in McCurdy, to the M&R office, Lands and Forest office, Ted Swift. And he picked me up, see me with the big sleeping bag on my shoulder on the highway. So we got into town that day, and but that was a neat trip, us guys, hiking up there. I want to pass by some of the other names here over the years. Ron Larson with Mike Ochetois. And we had an RCMP corporal also, RCMP corporal. I think his name was Bob Chamberlain, and a very young fella. And he was just so embarrassed to wear that red serge. He was a good-looking young fella, and he put that red serge on his face, got all red, because he actually embarrassed to wear it. So, and he told a bunch of stories to us, and I helped with the scouts in those days. They had some really good Boy Scouts. When I remember, I was teaching them semaphore, A, B, C, and D, and teaching them how to go semaphore. And the 2 best were Alan Dahl and Richard Chan, were the 2 best Boy Scouts at that time. And so that's about all I remember of the Boy Scouts extra. But I want to mention, like, Bill Locker was there, and one story they're going to forget is when Bill and John Potoff and Jerry Rose were there, and they had the big wolf's head, big black one. and then they put the badge in there. And the only time you get the badge out of that wolf's head was when the wolf was howling. So when the wolf was howling, so that he'd go woo, and everybody go howling, and you grab the badge. When they stopped, if you got your hand bit, so. Anyways, that's the way you had to pull the badge out when the wolf was howling. All the wolves are howling, so that was the way they got the badges in those days. Also, not mentioned too much, but somewhere there is a picture in here of the Boy Scouts having the musical ride, dressed up. They won a lot of awards for that, and so I think that's about it for leaders. There's lots since then, but they got other boys coming up to tell stories. Ted Nyman, etc. So I think that's about it on that. Thank you very much, Boy Scouts and Nipigon. Thank you.